Okay. So we are WASP 3D. WASP 3D is basically a broadcast-based organization which deals with the real-time graphics, whether it is for designing or going live with. Okay. So to deal with this, we have multiple modules. Okay. Also, firstly, I'll introduce myself. My name is Rishabh Sinha, and I am a graphic designer in WASP 3D. Okay. So WASP 3D provides multiple modules. Okay, you can see I have listed some of the modules right here. Okay, so first one is WASP 3D Drone Designer. Okay, so as the name suggests, it is a designer application. So whatever design or template you have to create, you will create it right here on this application. WASP 3D
Excuse me,
Drone
Rishabh.
Designer.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, your screen is not visible. You have not
Okay.
shared the screen.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, now it's okay.
Yeah, right now
Okay.
it's visible.
Okay. Okay, we'll start again. So these are some of the modules. Okay, from WASP 3D. So we will discuss these since it is a designer session. So we will go in depth with the WASP 3D Drone Designer, which is a designing application. You can see the first module right here. Okay, so if you have to design or create any template, so you will have to create it right here on this software, WASP 3D Drone Designer. Okay, after that, if you have created any template, so you will save it right somewhere as a template. So it will get stored in your kernel controller, which is our second module right here. WASP 3D kernel controller. It is basically a central server where you can save or store your templates. Okay. So we have multiple ways to save our designs. It can be your local scene graph or it can be as a template. Okay. So when you save your designs as a template, so it will be stored right here in this kernel control. So what you'll have to do with this application is you need to just start it just by double clicking on it. Okay. So you can see when I did it, there is a notification popped up. Already one instance of this application is running. That means on my machine, I am already running this application. Okay. So how can you check it if it is running or not? So it's working in the background. When you go to this icon tray, you can see some small icons right here. Okay. So one of the icon is kernel controller. Okay. So you can see it right here. That means it is working in the background. Okay. You can just exit it as well like this. So if this is not working or if you have not connected it, then you cannot save any template, save any design as a template, or you can, if you have already saved any design as a template and somehow it gets disconnected, then you cannot open that. Okay, you will not find any file or folder in your KC which you have previously saved. So it is very important to run this in the background. Okay. After that, we have our third application called WAS 3D Sting Client. This is basically a client application which helps you to operate your graphics, and you can just go on air with your graphics, which you have created in your drone designer with the help of this client application. Okay, you can just load the same template right here and you can just play it. But when you will play it, it will be displayed somewhere. That's engine. Okay, this is the engine, WAS 3D Sting server, our fourth module. Okay. So this is just an engine. Whenever you will play any graphics from Sting client, it will be visible right here in this engine. Okay. After that, there is one more module called WASP 3D VSET. Okay. So if somebody is using our virtual set module, then this is the one of the most important module right here. Okay. So we can of course play our CG overlay graphics in a Sting client, but in virtual set module, you can play the CG overlay graphics as well as your 3D virtual set. Okay, you can just uh, create your shots and play your 3D virtual sets right here with your CG graphics as well. Okay, and this is the last module, was 3D visit service. As a kernel controller, as it is running in the background, you'll have to just double click on this application as well. It should be running in the background. This is just a service application for this VSET. Okay, VSET service, VSET application. If it is not running in the background, then you cannot operate this software. Okay, the vSet Enterprise. So it must be running in the background as well, along with KC. Okay, so on my machine, you can see this is vSet service. Okay, it is running right here. Okay, and when I double click on kernel controller, now you will see both the icons right here. Okay, vSet service and kernel controller, both are right here. So both should be running if you are using this module, vSet module. Okay, so these were the modules. Now it's time to start the drone designer. Okay, so I have already opened it. So as you can see, when I open my drone designer, this will be the first interface you will see. Okay, so this is a home tab. There are multiple tabs right here. Okay, but this one is the first tab. Okay, home tab. When you will start this application, you will see this interface. So you will see only some recently used template or scene graphs right here. Okay, you can see recent wasp template written right here. Okay, so these are recent templates which I was working on my machine. Okay, and these are some local scene graphs. So I will let you know what is the difference between a local scene graph and a template. Okay, before we will start working on designer training and all. So there is a difference. The difference is that when I save any design as a template, okay, when I go to the save option and save template all, so what happens? It gets saved in our kernel controller as I told you earlier. So this will be the folder you will see, okay, right here. When you will try to open any template or save any template, this the first folder will be wasp loader, and inside it you can create multiple folders. So we have the option right here to create the folder, to delete the folder, to go back and all. Okay, so these folders are available only inside the kernel controller. If your kernel controller is not running in the background, you will not be able to find these folders or templates which you have saved it as a template. Okay, but in case of local scene graph, okay, you can just save it in your local disk drives. What are the local disk drives? These are the local disk drive like the C, D, E and all. Okay, these are the local disk drives. So you can save your local scene graph in these folders. Okay, in these disks. But template, you cannot save it right here. Okay, template can only be saved in the kernel controller, not in the local disk drive. Okay, like this. So this was the basic difference. So this is clear. Any questions until now, or should we go ahead?
I do have a question, if I may.
Okay, okay, fine. Please
So
ask.
yeah, it relates to the template extension only. The older webs version used to have dot WSP as template extensions,
Yes,
and
yes.
I believe this one has dot WSPX, right? So like if a news channel is using an older version of WASP where the entire KC and the template system is having dot WSP as templates, so would we be able to use that in the new version? Because here I see the extension to be .WSPX.
Okay, so if you have created any template in your older version, okay,
Older version, say 2011
yes.
or 2012, that level of graphics, that level
So
of version.
there are many changes that has happened between both the versions. So
Mhm.
if somehow it gets opened, then there are some textures or any options that you have used in the older version which might not be available in the latest version. So you can see some trouble
But
while
still, it will
looking
open a
through it.
.WSP, right? It will open
Yes,
a
yes,
.WSP
it
template.
will be open, but you might not see
There,
some
there
of the
can be
options.
some functionality
Yes,
issues, but it
yes,
will open
yes, 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 yes.
because a
Okay.
lot of channels used to use the older version of that, so they have a huge library
You can
when it
open the
comes.
older templates. You can open the older templates, but you cannot see some of the options
Okay.
which will be missing. Okay, because newer versions got some newer options and older versions will be missing. Older
Yeah,
options will be missing.
and the extension has also changed. I see. It's .WSPX, whereas the
Yes,
older
yes,
one used to be
it is
WSP.
WSP. It is WSPX. Whether it is a template or a local scene graph, the
Mhm.
extension will be WSPX.
Previously, it used to be .WSL and WSP. There were two separate extensions for the local and the template versions.
Okay. Now it's now WSPX.
Okay, so this version also opens the older version. That was my main question.
No, newer file cannot be opened in the older version. in that
No,
level.
no,
Mhm.
the older files can be opened in the newer
Yes,
version,
yes,
right?
you can yes, open file. You can open the older files in the newer. Okay, but if your scene is corrupted or something else has happened, then you might face some problem.
Actually. Okay.
Okay, so should we go ahead now?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Okay, so while you can see on this tab, we have also an option to search for the templates. Okay, so you can just type the name. If you know the name of your template, you can just type it. You can see the results right here. For example, you can see this name LT tutorial. So if I type it right here, you can see with this name, we have the results right here. Okay, so you can just search it. You can just change the sorting order like this. You can just do it. After that, we have a design tab right here where you can start your designing. Okay, but to do this, we have one more option right here. You can see multiple options like new, open, save as, and all. Okay, so you can see this new option right here. If you will click on this, okay, you will see this same tab. You can see now I'm automatically on the design tab. Okay, but there is one difference while doing both the options, while using both the options. Okay, what is the difference? That means for let's say I'm opening any template. Let's open this one. Okay, so this is not available right now. So let's just open this one. Okay, I'll show you what is the difference between this and this. So as I opened this template, okay, I am on the design tab. Okay, for some reason, if I have to go on the home tab, okay, now if I go to the design tab again, then you can see the same template is still open right here. Okay, but if you are on home tab and if you click on new, then the new scene will be opened. The, the template which we had already opened will be gone. Okay, so I am still on the design tab, but the template is gone. You will have to open or start creating your new design. Okay, so this is the difference, basic difference between both the options. Clear? Many people do these mistakes like they will be the home tab. Okay, and they will go to the design tab and they will see the templates, and if you by mistakenly click on the new one, there will always be a new scene. Okay, the older templates which you were working on will be gone. So keep this in mind. Okay, this is the option to open the templates or scene. You can see the open scene option, open template option, open layout templates. So there are many options right here. We'll go through these options one by one later on. Okay, so if you have created any design and saved it as a local scene, okay, so you will have to go to open scene option to open that template. Now you can see when I click on open scene, you can see my local drives. These are my local drives. These are not the folders which you are seeing in the kernel controller. Okay, you can see the documents, download, favorites, musics. These are my local drives and folders. So if you are working on local scene, so keep this in mind. Okay. Some people say they have saved their template, but they actually saved it as a scene and they are just going to these options, open template, and they cannot find that template. So they get worried. Okay, they get frustrated. So keep this in mind. Local scene graphs and template both are two different things. Okay, template means it is final, it is complete, ready to go on air. Okay, when you will save it as a template, any design as a template, then you can find the same design on your Sting client or virtual set client application as well to go on air with. Okay, but if you have saved it as a local scene graph, okay, if you have saved it as a scene, that means you cannot go on air with that design. Okay, it is just a local scene. Okay, you will not find it inside the kernel controller. Okay, so you cannot open it. Okay, and you cannot go on air with. So if you are ready that you can now go on air with your design, save it as a template, not as a local scene graph. Okay, okay, after that, there are many options. We will discuss with those options slowly. Okay, so first, this is the design tab. Okay, so this is the interface for the design tab. Okay, you can see the viewport. This is a viewport right here. Okay, and this is the hierarchy pool. if you are using any objects like 2D shapes, 3D shapes, or anything to create your design, it will be visible right here in this viewport, as well as right here in this hierarchy pool as an object, or you can see, as you can say, as a node. Okay. For example, there are many objects to use in your design. Let's, if I just select any object, now it is right here in my viewport as well as in my hierarchy pool as well. Okay. To see anything, let's say if my cube is visible right here in my viewport, it is happening because of these options. Okay, so these are some basic layouts. You can see some basic objects which will be every time in your new scene. Okay, like the background layer, layout, directional light, free camera. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. These four options will always be available in your new scene. Okay, if there will be no camera, you cannot see anything in the viewport. If there will be no light, you cannot see anything in the viewport. Okay, so we have a layout option to use extra any extra objects as a layout. Okay, we will discuss it later. This is the just a normal background layer. If you want to add any background like videos, images, or something in the background, okay, you can just use it right here in the background. Okay, so if I use any other objects after that, you can see after the free camera, it will be added right here. Firstly, I added a cube. So cube is on the top. After that, I added a sphere. You can see the next one is a sphere. After that, if I add a ellipse, you can see ellipse will be after that. So it will be in a hierarchy. That's why it is called hierarchy pool. Okay. We have this I button to turn any objects on or off right here. Okay, this icons indicate what kind of objects they are. This is ellipse. You can see this is a sphere, this is cube, this is camera, this is light, this is just a layer. Okay, you can also turn off just by this option. Okay, there are multiple options, and this L shape you can see right here. Okay, so this indicates the transformation basically. For example, if I have animated this object or change the position of this object, this is ellipse. Okay, I want to place my cube right here as well. So I can just copy the transformation of this ellipse and paste it to this. So we can do directly from this icon. Okay, I'll go to ellipse. I'll just select it and drag and drop it on the cube. So you can see the transformation is pasted on the ellipse. It's directly right here now. Okay, though they both are at the same position now. So this will help you to copy and paste the transformation anytime. Okay, directly using this icon. Also, there are many things to do in the viewport as well. Firstly, you can see this safe area. So this is a safe area if you are working on different resolutions like for HD, SD, we call it standard definition or a PAL. So there are many resolutions, okay, to work with. So to start working on a new project or new design, keep in mind what kind of resolution or frame rate you are working on. Okay, so how can we check that? How can we change that? Okay, so every software, every designing software, whether it is 2D, 3D, and anything, has its own preference settings, which you can change the basic functionalities, layouts of your application. Okay, so where you can find this, for example, uh, people are still joining the session. Okay. For example, if you are on home tab, then you can say the preference option right here. Okay. You can just click on this. The preference settings will be open. But if you are on design tab, you can see this small icon right here as well. Okay. Also, you can just go to this option and you can see the preference option right here as well. Okay. So you can see the preference settings is right here. You can see some basic options right here. If you don't want the safe areas to be present right here on the viewport, you can just turn it off or on anytime. Okay, if you want to change the color of the safe areas, you can just change the colors as well. So there are some basic functionalities which you can change to change the look and feel of the your interface or anything. Okay, if you have messed up and did some changes and you don't know how to revert it. So we have the restore option as well. You can just select restore all option and press OK. Okay, it will restore. So I haven't made any changes right now, so you cannot see any difference. So these are some basic options. Okay, If you don't want to see the gizmo on any object, if you don't want to see the boundary box on any object, you can just you can see the show boundary box option, just turn off. If you don't want to see this gizmo, just turn off, press OK. You can see it's gone. Just select any object and you cannot see that boundary box and the gizmo and all. So these are the settings which you can try by yourself as well. You can just check these options, and just by clicking on these options, you can just check what these works, what are these options for. Okay, this is enable draw mode. This is very good option. So what is this option? Enable draw mode. Right now, if I am using any object, let's delete this first. Okay, to use cylinder, what I did, I just double clicked right here. Okay, now it's my scene. Okay, but you can see it's imported in the viewport, but it is on its own default size. Okay, if you want to import any object with your own desired size. Okay, so how can we do that? We have the draw mode. You need to just select any object, just click one time. Okay, if you click on any object just one time, then you will see a plus right here in place of your cursor. Okay, in place of your mouse cursor. You can just click anywhere and just draw it like this. Just draw it like this, like this. Okay. Now click outside anywhere. You can see my object is created. Okay. If you are using a rectangle, just click once and just draw it like this. Any desired shape or size like this. So this is the benefit of draw mode. Okay. If you don't want this option, you can just go to the preference settings, just disable the draw mode like this. Now try. When I clicked it once, we cannot draw it. It's automatically appeared right here on the viewport. Okay, we cannot draw it. Okay, it will be always on its default size. You will have to go to the parameters option to change its shape, size, or anything. Okay, so basically, every individual objects has its own parameters. Right here, you can see. Okay, if I click on the rectangle, rectangle has its own parameters. If I click on sphere, sphere has its own parameters. If I click on cylinder, cylinder has its own parameters. Okay, if I change the shape size of the cylinder, if I increase the top radius, you can see its size is changing. If I increase the bottom radius, you can see it's increasing or decreasing. If you want to increase the height, you can just change it like this. Okay, so you can see this radius option, but in case of rectangle, rectangle is just a 2D plane. You don't have any radius option. It is not circular basically. Okay, so you have width, height. That's why I said every individual objects has its own individual parameter options like this to change its shape, size, look and feel. If you want to apply any color, you have fill color option. If you turn off, it will look like a blank object. Okay, if you want to change the color, you can change the color like this. Okay, so these are some basic parameters. You want to enable outline, you can just do it. So these are some options you can just check out for every objects by yourself. Okay, there are many objects. Okay, and there are many options for every object. So as a beginner, as of now, we cannot just check out all the detailed options. So you can just open your designer and check these options by yourself as well. If you find any problem, or if you don't, if you're not able to understand any option, you can just ask me in any session. Okay, so in the hierarchy pool, there are also multiple options right here. For example, in some you can see many parameters. Okay, so we have some shortcut options for that. If you want to go to that particular material of any object, we have this material. You can just change it like this. Okay, if you can see quick access option right here. So you can see 20. So 20 is basically the segments, number of segments. Either you can change the option from here, or you can just do the same thing from here as well. You can see both the options are changing because they both are the same options. These are just the shortcut options, quick access. Okay, you can see if I'm increasing this option, this shim for top option is increasing. Okay, like this. So every object has some quick access. If you want to change it, for example, in quick access one of a sphere, segments option is added. But if you want to add radius option in the quick access, you can just go to radius, right click, and you can see the first option called quick access. You have also option to choose the slot. I want to add in the quick access one. So On quick access, I will select 1. Okay. Now you can see it's changed. Now I can increase or decrease my radius. Okay. So you can just create your own shortcut right here. After that, you can see the viewport. Okay. As I told you, there are basic changes which you can do in the preference settings, but these options can be changed in your viewport directly as well without going to these preference settings. Okay. So the most important option in this preference settings is this server panel. Okay. So what is this server panel? You can see KC service written right here, and you will see your machine name right here. It can be localhost or it can be your machine name. Okay. So if you see this icon right here, that means your KC is not connected. So you cannot save any design as a template, or if you have saved any design as a template, you cannot just open it. Okay, because you will not find it right here on this folder. Okay, so make sure this is connected like this. Okay, so on my machine, KC is connected. Okay, if I disconnect it right here, I'll show you. I'll go to this option, and if I disconnect my kernel controller like this, now I'll go to design preference. You can see the color is gone. Okay. In few moments, you will see the yellow icon, the cross icon like this. You can see that means your KC got disconnected. You can just reconnect it from here, but it will work only when if you are running the KC in your background. Okay. So I clicked on the reconnect. You will see it will not get connected. Just wait for some moment. You can see after pressing this reconnect button, it's still not connected. So this is one of the major things in which every designer gets confused regarding KC. So just start the KC again. Now you will see the KC icon right here again. Now go to designer, go to preference, and now try to click on this reconnect button. Now you can see the tick icon. Now you can see it's connected. Okay. So this is the one of the most important thing in the entire session. So keep this in mind, this KC option. Okay. After that, in the preference, there are many options. Like you can see what kind of language the designer is using. This is C#. Okay, base embedding for the text. It should be left to right or right to left, depending on the languages. Form type, you can decide what kind of form you are creating, standard or unified. So if you're starting from the very basics, if you don't know anything about the designer yet, so if you don't know what is form, then just wait. We will cover every topics, every options. Okay. After that, we will go through these options again. Okay. Right now, you can just explore some basic options like the device params, the most important one. If you want to work on different resolution, so you have the format option right here. You can just see many format presets for the standard resolution, HD resolution. You have the custom option as well. Okay. In the custom option, you can just select the width, height, the frame rate and all. Okay. So you have the custom option as well. You have this option. If you want to change the color of the viewport, right now it is basically grayscale. If I change the color of the viewport, I can just do it like this and press OK. You can see I change the resolution as well as the viewport's color. Okay, so in the preference settings only, you can just do these things. Okay, if I want to reset it, I don't know what was the color earlier and what was the resolution. I don't know. I just want to reset everything. Go to the preference again. I told you about this restore all option. Click on this one and press OK. Now you can see the color is set back to normal. To change the this viewport resolution, go to device param again. Okay, you need to select. This is already selected. Okay, there are some settings which gets applied immediately, and there are something which you need to restart your designer application. Okay, so going to the previous preference setting again. These are some settings for the track view. Track view will be used when you will start animating any object. So leave it for now. These are some shortcuts. Okay. In this animator tab, there are many options and these are the shortcuts. In action history, there is nothing. In play controllers, there is nothing. In hierarchy, there are many things and these are the shortcuts. In material editor, there are many things. These are shortcuts. So you can just go through these options as well. You can just check out what are the shortcut keys for these options. Okay. While working on track view, you can just check out these shortcuts. We have the window option. These are the windows like the hierarchy, parameters, uh, this track view. These are the windows. If you don't want to see these options right here, you can just turn off. For example, if I turn off track view like this, now just restart the designer. I told you earlier, for some changes, you need to restart your designer. Okay, I'll restart it again. Is there any confusion or question until now? You can ask freely. Everything is clear to everyone. We are recording the session as well, so after the session, you will get the recordings as well. Okay, so that you can just practice these options. So you can see the track view is gone. Okay, when I restarted my designer, you can see the track view is gone. Okay, you cannot see the track view icon right here as well. So these are some windows. You can see the icons right here. So initially there was an track view option right here as well, but now this is gone. So you cannot animate your objects if there is no track view. So if you want to turn it on again, just go to the preference settings again, go to the window option, just enable track view again. Okay, but for this, I'll have to restart it again. Okay, so you will have to check everything in the preference settings before starting on your project. Otherwise, you might have to lose your works. Okay, if you randomly change these options anytime while working on any project. Okay, just keep these options in mind. After that, these are the options for form. We will cover it when we will get into the form options. So this is the form tab basically. You will go to this option only when you have created any design. If you have linked or wired your data. Okay, after that, you need to create a form. Okay, in the form, we give the options to change our data while going on air. Okay, so this is the form tab. We will cover it very soon. Default object material. When we will cover material and texture options, then we will check this thing. Okay, you can see the objects right here. When you will use these objects in your scene, there will always be some material applied on that object. Okay, not on every object, but on some objects. Okay, so these are some previously set materials. Okay, when, for example, if you import a 3D text in your scene, you will see by default uniform material will always be applied. Okay, if you import any cube, okay, you will see and standard material is applied by default. Okay, so you can just change it as well. If you click on it, you have all the list of the materials available uh, in your designer. So you can just change it. Okay, like this. But I will not change it. Okay, if you want to change it, you can do it in your machine. Okay, so these are some hardware. I also, if you are working on like NDI feeds or any kind of live feed, this is just configuration settings for inputs and outputs. Okay, so this is some technical stuff. We will not cover these options. Okay, if you want any help regarding these options, you can just contact our technical team, our support team. Okay, as a designer, I will cover these options. Okay, so now let's check some options in the viewport as well. Okay, now you know the hierarchy pool, now you know the parameters. So there are many options in the viewport as well. Okay, if you right click on your viewport, you will see some option right here like the views, transform, miscellaneous. There are many options in your viewport. Okay, there are still some people who are joining this late in the session. Okay, so in views, you can see multiple views. Right now, we are on free camera view. Okay, whatever you are using in your scene, it will be visible just because of your free camera. Okay, so you can just select your free camera and change its position, rotation, everything. Okay, like this. But if you want to switch its a view, you can just right click. Okay, and if you want to change it to top view, you can just select top. Now this is the top view of the sphere. Click on the bottom, this will be the bottom view. Okay, since this is a sphere, you will not see much of a difference. So let's uh, use a different shape. I will use this one. Okay, you can see this is a bottom view, and this ring is looking like this. If I change the view to uh, left, it will look like this. Front, it will look like this. You can see there are also some shortcut options as well for this. You don't have to just go to the views again and again. You have this front option, top option, left options right here as well. Okay, but to go on to the camera mode again, okay, you need to just right click view and select free camera. Okay, now you are on free camera. After that, what kind of option we have? We have transform options.
Rishabh, 1 minute. How
Yes,
is this Zoom extension is working? You
zoom
Zoom
extent.
extent. I know
This
select.
option, this option,
Ah, yeah,
this
yeah.
option will work only in
Extend
the
and zoom select selection both.
this work,
Mm,
but this option work only in the orthogonal views. Orthogonal views means these options like left, right, top, bottom, and all. It will not work
okay.
in your free camera view.
The
For
camera.
example, if I on front view, okay.
Okay.
Now if I use from here or here, okay, I can
Mm,
just do it zoom extent. You can see
yeah, yeah. So
it will zoom your objects in
okay,
a
okay.
certain extent only. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
If you are
So
on
it is
the
not working in
zooms,
the camera mode or
no,
orthogonal mode,
no,
right?
no,
That is
no.
what you
It
mean.
will it will
Okay.
not work in your free camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So you can just change your modes anytime. Okay, from the viewport
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
Okay. Also, one thing I showed you earlier in your preference, you can see these options like so bounding box, object normals, gizmo trajectory, these options. Okay, these are some basic options. So you can just directly do it from your viewport as well. You don't need to go in every time on your preference settings. Just right click and you can see uh, the miscellaneous option right here. You can see the same options right here available. Okay, you can just enable or disable these options anytime. Okay, these options. Okay, every option is available right here. This is the safe area. As I showed you earlier, you will have to go to preference and disable or enable these options from here, but I can do it right here as well. This is safe area option. I can just disable all of them at once, enable all of them at once. Just enable or disable these options right here from the viewport as well. Clear? Easy. After that, we have edit option. In edit, we have just option to copy the objects. Okay. So you can also just create a copy from here as well. Just select any object, right click and copy object. There will be a copy. You can see ring 2 is right here. Since both objects are at the same position, you will not see it. Just select any of them and just change the position. Now you can see. Okay. Same thing. I'm selected. I'm already I have still selected this object. I will just right click, edit, and do the same thing from here as well. You can see ring 3 is now available like this. Okay. So if you want to create multiple copies at the same time, so what you can do, if you right click, copy, just don't click on this object directly. Press shift and press OK. After that, you will have this dialog box. You can just decide what the number of copies. Okay. If I increase it to 5, create, OK. You can see there are 5 new rings. Just select every of them, and place it everywhere like this. Okay. After that, we have a select option. Okay. There is first option called favorites. I'll discuss it later. What is favorites? Favorites full. Okay. Uh, this option is called hide. If I am on ring 5 right now, and if I click on hide, now it is hidden. This automatically turned off this I button, and now it's gone. You can just enable it from here as well directly. Okay. Other option is called unhide all. Basically, if you have hidden all the objects at once, okay, then like this, if you turn off every objects like this. Okay, right click, uh, select unhide all. Now you can see at once on just one click, I use this option. Okay, I don't need to go to every objects individually and just click on every one of them. Okay, I can just do it just on a click. Events. This is different. This is some advanced option. As a beginner, you don't need to use this option right now. Just skip this part for now. We have modes. We have multiple modes for the objects like the object mode, manipulator mode, texture manipulator, and pivot. Okay, you know what is pivot? Anyone? You know what is pivot point? If you guys have used any other softwares like After Effects and 3ds Max, and all, when you select any object, you can see this gizmo right here. And this gizmo indicates where your pivot point is basically. Right now on this object, you can see it is now at the center. So that means if I do any transformation, you can see it will always happen from the center. Okay, like this. It will always happen from the center. But if you don't want to do any changes like this, if you want to change the pivot point, of course, you can just change it. Okay, you need to just go to the mode and go to the pivot. Okay, now you are on the pivot mode. Okay, you can see this mode changes right here as well. Okay, the same thing you can do it from here as well. Just a right click right here and you have all these four options again. By default, you are always on object mode. On object mode, you can just transform your objects freely like this or any changes you can make. Okay, but if you change the mode like manipulator mode, in manipulator mode, you can just change the size and all. Okay, you can manipulate the parameters basically using the manipulator mode. Okay, we have this texture manipulator. So right now we have not applied any texture, so it will not work. You can see none written right here. Okay, so there is no texture right now applied on this. We will cover it later when we will cover material and texture. Okay, after that we have pivot. Okay, all right. I was discussing pivot. So right click on the pivot right here. You can see the entire 3D interface of that particular object. So if you click center, the pivot will be set as center. If you click on this point, now you can see the pivot is shifted to this point. Okay, so now if you are ready with your changes, if you're done with the changes, go to the object mode again. And now if I do anything, you can see the pivot point is now set right here. This is not at the center. All right. So now every transformation will be done with the pivot point at this point. Okay, clear. You can just change it to center anytime. Just right click on this object mode, go to the pivot mode again. Okay, you can just click on the center part, or you can just manually change this to left, right, center. Okay, if it is at a different part, you can see it is changed. If I in every axis, if I change it to center, center, center in both X, Y, and Z, now it is at the center. You can see. Go to the object mode again, and now you are ready to work with your object. Okay, like this. After the modes, we have save trajectory to shape. Uh, we will cover it when we will do the animation part. Okay, if you do animation in any object, you will see a trajectory, and you can just convert that trajectory to a spline into shape. Okay, so when we will do the animation part, I will show you how to work with this. And lastly, we have the create option in the viewport. Create means what these are the same option like you are importing any objects in your viewport like this, you can just do it from here as well with the create option. Go to create, go to 3D primitives. If you want to use a Angon, click on this one. You can see an Angon is added right here. Okay. So either you can just use this option or you can just directly import from here like this. You can just expand these tab like this. You can see there are many objects which we use in our designer application to create multiple type of templates. Okay, we have 3D shapes, we have 2D shapes, splines, we have text objects, we have pie objects to create pie and bar graphs. We have timer objects, we have import objects option. We can import Photoshop files, Illustrator files, 3D models in the form of FBX format. We have extensions called blast, extrude, tile table text, many options we have right here. Okay, so these are from very beginner level to advanced level. Okay, so we will cover it slowly. Okay, one step at a time. So these basic things are clear. What is viewport, what is hierarchy, and the parameters. So I think now you can start working on these objects. Okay, but I will tell you one more option. After that, I think you are ready to create your own basic layout in the designer. Okay, for example, what is that? If I select this rectangle, okay, of course I told you what is parameters. You can just increase the width, height, and all. Okay, but we have one more important option. This is that basically transformation panel. Okay, so this is very important to know how to work with this transformation panel. Okay, you can do the same thing right here as well, changing the position, rotation like this. Okay, also in case of 2D shapes, you can see if I rotate this, you cannot see the back part. Okay, so in case of 2D shapes, we have an option in the parameters called two-sided. Just enable this option. Now you can see the back part as well. Okay, so don't get confused using the 2D shapes. You need to just enable this option. Okay, after that, if you have made any changes in the transformation in XYZ, rotation in XYZ, or scaling in XY or Z. Okay, so scaling or any option, you can see the scaling option will not work in the Z because this is just a 2D shape. There is no depth. It is just a simple 2D plane. Okay, so I have made many changes from here. Okay, we can transform any object from here. Okay, so I want to reset it. If you want to reset only the transformation in the X, then you can just right click on any these small arrows like this. You can see it is back to 0. Right click on this, it is back to 0, 0, 0. The default values in the transformation panel, you can see for translation, rotation, it is always 0. The default value is 0. Just right click and it will be set to 0. But in case of scaling, the default value is 1 in every X, Y, and Z. Okay, because if you will do it to 0, then you will not see anything on the viewport because there is no height, there is no width, there is no depth. So what will be visible? Nothing. Okay, so there should be some value. Okay, there should be some width and height so that it will be visible. Okay, so you can just reset it anytime just by right clicking on any option. But if you want to reset the entire transformation in the translation at once, you don't want to click on any option again and again. Okay, so this is the reset option for the entire translation. Just reset it like this. If you have done the rotation like this, if you want to set all the three options in the rotation at once, just click on this second one. This is the reset for the rotation. Okay, and the third one is the reset for the scaling like this. And there is a reset all option. If you have done in the changes in the translation, rotation, scaling, and everything. Okay, like this. If you want to reset every of them at once, just click reset all. It will reset everything. Okay. After that, we have color switch right here. So this color switch works only for the basically you can just select any color and drag and drop it to that object. Okay, it will fill the color inside that object, but it works only for 2D objects, not for 3D objects. Okay, any 2D objects, whether it is circle, rectangle, or any 2D shape, you can just use this option to fill the color directly from here. Okay, of course, you can do the same thing from the parameters as well. We have the same fill color option in the parameters as well. We can do the same thing from here as well. Okay, but in case of 3D objects, there is always a material assigned to that object. And without material, we cannot change the color of any 3D object. So don't worry, we will discuss that material part later. Okay. After that, we have this option and you can see this is object count, this is texture count, and this is materials count. Okay. If you will click right here, you will see number of objects in your scene 4. Okay. It does not count background layer. After that, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 objects. If you add some more, now you can see the object count is 5. If you add some, sorry, if you add some more, now we'll see it will show the object count number 6. Okay, if you are using any materials, now you can see in my objects in rectangle there is no material applied, but in text there is uniform 2 material applied. Its name is uniform 2. Okay, and in cube there is a standard material applied. So right now we have two materials, uniform 2 and standard 6. Okay, so You can check it in the material tab right here. I have used many objects since I started the session. That's why it is every materials are right here. I can just delete every unused materials. So these are only two used materials, uniform 2 and standard 6. Uniform 2 and standard 6. So if you want to check the material count, you can see number of materials in the current scene is 2. If you want to see the texture count, it is showing 0 because of course I have not used any textures yet. Okay. In the texture pool, you can see this is the texture pool and it is empty. There is nothing right here. Okay. So these are some basic options. So I think you can just select any object and start working with your design. Okay. Just select a rectangle. If you want to create a lower third, just select the object first. Place place it anywhere you want in your scene like this. If you want to change the width, you can just do it parametrically from here. Okay. You can just increase the size from here as well. Okay. There is one difference between this and this. Okay. When I will cover some more detailed options, I'll show you what is the difference between changing any transformation thing in the from the parameters and from here. Okay. You can see I am changing its width from here as well and here as well. Okay. So it is happening parametrically, basically. Okay. What does this mean? What does this mean if it is happening parametrically? What is the difference? Okay. So if I do any changes like this, for example, you can, if I use this option, okay, and if I use segments like this, okay. So if I now change its size, you can see that the chamfer I used, it's still like that. Okay. It is still like that because I am changing its size parametrically. But the same thing, if I do it from here, you will see it's getting stretched. The chamfer I used, it's getting stretched. Okay. So I am working, I am increasing the size beyond its natural value. Okay. Beyond its natural value. Its natural value is still like this. Okay. So I am just stretching it forcefully. If I'm stretching it forcefully, then you will see it will get stretched like this. But the same thing, if I do from the parameters, then I am just increasing its natural value. Okay. Then you can see nothing will get stretched. Okay. So this is the basic difference. Okay. After that, you can explore these options. What is smoothing? You know what is pivot now. You know the fill color option, outline option. So you can just explore these options. Okay. And ask any questions later. After that, you can just create any band, use text. Okay. There is one important thing. Okay. Before wrapping up the session for today. Uh, so that option is, let me just show you. Uh, You can see these arrows everywhere. You can just right click and reset to its original value. Okay, default value. Okay. If you are using any shapes, okay, whether it is rectangle, 2D shape, 3D shape, or any shape, okay, you can just right click right here. Okay, right click on that object. You will see some presets for the same shape. Okay, if I use this one, you can see it is already in a different shape. Okay, if you wanted to use this as a shape, as a layout, then your time is saved. We have already this preset. Okay, you need to just change the width and height little bit. Okay, similarly for, you can see with circles we have multiple shapes. If you want to, if you're trying to create such kind of shape, we have already done this. Okay, for any, whether it is 2D or 3D, you can see for cylinders we have this shape. Okay, for spheres, we have this kind of shape. Okay, we have some presets. Okay, like this. If you just use it directly, it will be in its natural shape. Okay, but if you want to use a different shape, just right click and you have this preset. You can create your own preset as well. Okay, for example, if you have made any changes in your, let's suppose in the circle. In circle, I will use offset, uh, not on the outline, sorry. Uh, you need to enable the outline first. Okay. Okay. If I have made any change like this and I want to save it as a preset, as my own preset for this circle, then in the parameters at the bottom, you can see the save preset option. Okay, this is save preset option. You can just click save preset and you can see right here, you can just click on anyone and just replace it. Okay, you can just replace it. If there is any blank box right here, then you can add it. Otherwise, if you don't see any blank options, that means you have only option to replace any previous design. Okay, so you select this one and press save, it will be replaced. This option will be replaced with this one, your design. Okay, so keep this in mind. Okay, I don't want to save it, I will not save it. Okay, these are some basic edit options. So in the file options, you have these options: new, design, open template, save as. You know the difference between save and save as? So save basically does the override saving. Okay, if you have if you have made any changes and if you click on save, then this will override change. Okay, but if you use save as, then it will create a copy of that object. Okay, the previous one will be still there and there will be a new copy of that same template. Okay, so to create a new copy, you can just anytime use save as option. Okay, we can use archive option. You can create an archive and share your files to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Okay, I'll show you in detail later how to use this archive option. You have the same this transform panel right here. If you are on this translate option, you can just translate any objects like this. If you are in rotation option, you can just rotate your objects like this. If you are on the scale option, you can just change the shape size with scaling like this. Okay, if you want to translate it, also if you want to do it in x constant, okay, then the x constant is logged. Okay, sorry, you need to lock it. You can see when I double clicked on this while selecting x constant, I cannot move upwards and downwards. Okay, I can use only the x constant like this. I cannot do it like this. Okay, because I have logged the x constant. So double click on it again. Okay, sorry. Okay, now it's free. You need to unlock this one as well. You can see when I click this, you can see every X, whether it is translation, rotation, and scaling. These are highlighted. If I click on Y, you can see now Y is highlighted as well. If I click on Z, Z is highlighted as well. You can just turn it off anytime like this. So when it comes to scaling, it's always a better option to do it in a proportion. Okay, so how can you do it in a proportion? Proportion means if you increase your size or decrease your size, every x, the value in x, y, and z should work all together at once. Okay, that means if I scale in x, you can see it is being stretched. Okay, if I do the same thing in y, you can see it is getting stretched. Okay, but I want to do it in a proportion, so I will enable x, y, and z like this. You can do it manually. Just click on x like this, enable or disable it like this. Now I have enabled X, Y, and Z, all of them at once. When I change anything in X, you can see it is being changed in Y and Z as well at the same time. And you can see now it is happening in a proportion like this. Okay. So you don't need to click all of them every time. You can just click the outer option, the outer icon like this. Okay. So I have used it manually this time. I'll show you. I'll disable it first. Now I can see, you can see when I click on this one, X, Y, and Z are enabled. I click on this again. It is not getting disabled. I think there is something wrong in my computer, my designer. So you can try this option in your machine and let me know if it is working fine or not. Okay, now it's working. You can see. If I click on this one, every three constants are enabled at once, and click on this one, every three are disabled at once. You can see it is working. Okay, but in rotation, you can rotate it only at one axis. Okay, either in X, either in Y, either in Z. but in scaling you can do that. Okay, because in scaling we always do it in a proportion. Otherwise its shape will be changed. Okay. For translation, you can just enable X or Y, and if you change it, you can see it will happen in diagonal axis, diagonally, like this. Okay, you can just disable it like this. Also, we have I button here as well. If you have selected any object, you can just turn on or off this object from here as well. Okay, this is render option. We will check that later. This is auto option. This is QPlay. So these options we will use when we will cover the animation part, when we will cover the track view part. Okay, so these will be used in this track view option. Okay, I think in the first session I have covered more than enough. If you guys have any problem or issues, you can just ask it, or you can ask in the next session as well after the practice session. Okay, so I think it's more than enough for today. So we can just wrap up the session for today now. Okay.
Thank you, Rishabh. Yeah.
Any questions, any issues during the training session? Anyone? Or should I close the session?
Yes, thank you, Rishabh. Yeah.
I hope you guys will practice every objects and try to use these options. Okay. And let me know what else you can create with your own creativity. Okay. After that, we will cover this track view option, material textures, these options. Okay. In the next session. All right. Thank you, everyone. We are wrapping up the session. See you in the next session. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.